Welcome to Nanaimo Yacht Charter's classroom. This is where we will choose all your charts depending on where you're sailing to. We have laid out a few different charts here for sailing through the Gulf Islands, and we'll give you a quick briefing on some navigational obstacles we like to point out, some hazards to be aware of, and where we are located in relation to some of your destinations. So here, we are the very last marina before you head out into Departure Bay. If you are sailing through the Gulf Islands, you would head out of Stones Marina here, head south down the Newcastle Channel, and in between Passage Rock and Oregon Rock, there is a green and white square day beacon, red marker, and another green buoy marking Passage Rock and Oregon Rock. This inset is blown up further down the chart here. You want to make sure that you're heading right in between these. You never want to go on the wrong side of this buoy. As you can see, it has a low of 0.1 of a meter. So even on a high tide, you want to make sure that you are following the rules of the road and heading between the appropriate markers. As you head down this channel, you'll further see two other red buoys, a couple of green buoys, and you want to head right between the two. You can see some people have marked in their course in pencil, which you're welcome to do. And then you're going to be heading into Nanaimo Harbor if you're going through the Gulf Islands Channel. Here we have a west cardinal buoy with two triangles pointing towards each other, showing that the water is clear to the west. And the inside marks Satellite Reef. You also want to stay well clear of that. This is Mark Bay, in between Newcastle and Protection Island, where you may wish to come in and pick up a mooring buoy and spend a nice hour-long walk all the way around the Marine Provincial Park there. And then at Protection Island, there is a fun floating dinghy dock pub and restaurant where you can pick up a mooring buoy and get in your dinghy and head ashore and tie up alongside the pub and restaurant there. You may wish to do that on your last night, and then it's a short trek back to us where you can fuel up at the Departure Bay Gas and Go at the end of our marina. So on your first day, you'll head down Newcastle Channel through Nanaimo Harbor, watching out for the seaplane landing zone. It may be wise to put out your sails once you're clear of Nanaimo Harbor, as there is quite a lot of traffic to watch out for. Other marina traffic from Nanaimo Harbor, the Gabriola ferry that heads across this channel. There's little passenger ferries across to Protection Island, across to Newcastle. So once you head out of Nanaimo Harbor, you'll see Gallows Point lighthouse there and another red marker there. So you want to stay well clear of that. And between the red and the green, you head out towards Jack Point. So once you round Jack Point, you'll also see another ferry terminal. This is service from Tsawwassen to Duke Point. You stay clear of that and you head down the Northumberland Channel towards Dog Narrows. Here we have the Ports and Passes publisher for the tides and currents of this whole coastline. It's crucial that you reference this and not any government tide tables. Maybe your Navionics app also hasn't updated, so please cross-reference. If it hasn't adjusted for daylight savings, you could be arriving at a current station an hour early or an hour late, and this could be crucial as we can see currents as strong as 12 knots along the length of the Gulf Islands. So here we are, the very first tidal pass we've been looking to cross through. It's Dog Narrows. This book is alphabetical. Red is for currents and the blue is for tides. As we head down through the Dog Narrows, for example, today is May 12th. The first column is gray for slack water. The second column is max, and then there is a flood or an ebb direction. Generally, around this section of the island, you'd be looking at the current flooding north, shows a positive sign, and ebbing south with a minus sign. So here on May 12th, you're looking at slack water. It's at 2:59 a.m., 8:06 a.m., and 2:18 p.m. If this was your first day of charter, you'd likely be looking to get off the dock and head for slack water at 2:18 p.m. You'd want to be allowing about an hour and a half to leave our dock and head through slack water at Dog Narrows right there between Mudge and the mainland here. Smaller island by Gabriola. As you can see, it changes at 2:18 p.m. from a flood to an ebb, where at full max current, you'd be looking at plus 6.9 knots. So if you were trying to head south and you went through there at max water, you'd have 6.9 knots flooding against you. With that in mind, please do not transit through any of these current passages at anything other than slack water. It's best to time your sail itinerary around these. So here we have a large scale chart that we discussed heading down Newcastle Channel, through Nanaimo Harbour, around Jack Point and down to Dod Narrows. That would be a great first passage to head through. If the conditions were quite calm and you wanted to head around the outside, the next possible tidal pass would be here at Gabriola Passage. The whole strip of the Gulf Islands is determined by tidal passages. There we have Dod Narrows, we have Gabriola Passage, we have Active Pass, very bottom we have Boundary Pass, Porleo and Active. As we were referencing here in our Ports and Passes guidebook, that, as we emphasize, is just for daylight savings, so please refer to this book, as it is all alphabetical. We start off with Dod Narrows, determined by slack water, max, and then the direction of the flood or ebb current. The next option would be Gabriola Passage. Here we go. So today, if you were heading off the dock a little later, the conditions were calm, or you chose to sail on the outside of Strait of Georgia, you'd be looking to transit through Gabriola Passage on May 12th at 2:44 p.m. slack water. Once again, the flood, the max water is at 6:11 p.m. and it will be flooding against you at 6.3 knots. It is absolutely crucial to transit through at slack water. Anything stronger than slack water is unsafe. You do not want any of these tidal passages to be the exciting part of your holiday. You time your passage at slack water and you will have flat, calm, non-exciting transit through. The next option, if you were continuing to head down out through the Strait of Georgia, would be Porleo Pass here. There is some navigational obstacles we'll also point out, but you'll continue in through the guidebook here to find out your next option. Today being May 12th would be 2:39 p.m. So you can see a pattern that, depending on which passage you were looking to transit through, you'd want to plan accordingly. Further south would be Active Pass. Active Pass is an area that you'd want to be listening in on the WX channel or following along on the AIS and any of the marine traffic, as that is where the Tsawwassen to Swartz Bay ferries are very active every hour between Vancouver and Victoria. So here at Active Pass, the Red Current Station has a little map as well here, chart showing where Active Pass is in relation to the Gulf Islands. And once again, here on May 12th, you'll be looking at slack water at 3:12 p.m. This big, wonderful atlas, chart 3313, has been plasticized, so you can have it out on the cockpit area and not worry about it being exposed to the elements. So you flip it over, you can determine which page number you're going to want to be referring to as you get a great in-depth view of the area. So for example, as you're heading into Porleo Pass or Gabriola Pass, there are some crucial markers you want to be watching out for as you come in through these channels. So here on page 16, you would see this red buoy at Race Point. You would see Virago Rock marked with this red marker. Best practice before you set sail each morning or the evening prior is taking a pencil or pen and highlighting all these navigational obstacles. We talked about Virago Rock, we talked about Rhombus Reef, and Black Rock, where they are marked by these day beacons in the channel. You want to watch out for this, plot a nice course. And as you can see, as there are these navigational obstacles throughout each passage, it is crucial to go at slack water to avoid, as you can see here, a 9-knot current flooding north, maximum 7-knot current ebbing south. You want to avoid having these treacherous waters leading onto any of these rocks, reefs, any of this area. So as you head down Portlaoise Pass, you have some options that we'll explore in through the Gulf Islands of where to anchor. So this great large-scale chart outlines a few different places that you can stop as you head in through Dod Narrows. You'll be keeping Round Island here on your starboard side. You can head down through the De Courcy group, through the Trincomalee Channel, and if you wanted to have short first day sail, if you went through Dod Narrows in an afternoon slack water, you could head in through Ruxton Passage, down in through the De Courcy Island group, and stay in Pirates Cove. There are some crucial navigational points we want to point out here into Pirates Cove on De Courcy Island. We'll point out in the guidebook. Some people may choose to stay your first night here, or you may choose to stay your last night before you head back through Dod Narrows. Then as you head down Pallades Channel, you'll pass Valdez Island, and you may like to stay in the protection of this area and explore through the southern Gulf Islands in some of the remote communities. Otherwise, you can also hug the Stewart Channel here, down along Vancouver Island, where you'd be heading into Chemainus, lovely little marina there, or further south in through past Grave Point, and head over to the next large-scale chart here, all the way down through Samson Narrows. Samson Narrows, you can head over to our Ports and Passes guidebook again and take a look at the slack water, but it is a very large channel and it's very deep, and you only really see a difference of a couple knots or so. So it's not a huge concern of having to navigate slack water in through there. Maple Bay has a lovely anchorage and marina. You can stay in Eagle Eye Cove there. And then as you head further down, I would highly recommend anchoring in Genoa Bay or staying at the dock and exploring a gorgeous hike up through Mount Zuhalem. And all of these we'll point out in our cruising guide, Dream Speaker publisher book. It's Cowichan Bay, another marina you can stay at. Head further down through Satellite Channel, all the way down through Finlayson Arm, where you may choose to come into Brentwood Bay, fantastic spa, swimming pool, resort. And then you could anchor in Todd Inlet and go explore the beautiful Butchart Gardens. So this has a lot of different options that is followed along on the 10 or 7 day Gulf Islands itinerary on our website. So we were talking about Pirates Cove when you come down Dod Narrows. This is a good in-depth view. So head down the De Courcy group in through the Trincomalee Channel and head in through Ruxton Passage and in through Pirates Cove. A good first or last night, second to last night before you head in through Dodds, depending on the slack water timing. So this big square relates to an inset we'll show over here. So over here, as you can see, good in-depth view. You should want to be plotting a good course in between the Ruxton Passage, Ruxton Island, the Courcy Island. And then as you head back up north in through the De Courcy group here, you will see a very narrow passage. There's a green and white square day beacon and a red buoy. On any one of our boats, you have to time high water when you are navigating in and out of this area. Once you come through this passage, plenty of good anchorage in through there, but you need to make sure you're always navigating through this area on high water. In our red Dream Speaker guidebook I'll head over to, it shows there's a big wooden X and a big wooden arrow where you need to line up once you are past this reef before you turn in. So here on page 170, this is all outlined in the atlas, in the index in the back of this guidebook. It's a good satellite picture here showing this little sailboat coming in on a lower tide, but where you can see a little bit of the reef exposed, but you do always want to make sure you're navigating between the two on a high tide. Otherwise, you will run aground if you time transiting through on anything other than the highest tide of the day. I always recommend at least 1.5 meters above chart datum before you navigate in through there. So let's take a look. Here, this lovely little pictorial drawing. So you can see that we have drawn in through this red course. You will see a big wooden arrow and a big wooden X. So you completely pass this reef until you are in line with both of these on the north side of the shore. Once you are in line, your whole stern has passed through, then you start turning in. You can see it's well marked shallow reef, 0.3 of a meter. All of these guidelines, the readings are lowest low. So you will be adding the tidal range on top of chart datum. So now we're going to be referencing the tidal passage Nanaimo, as we were referring to all of the red marked current passages. I would recommend referring to Nanaimo. Here is the closest passage. Here on May 12th. So you can see it has the dates, the time, and the depth in feet and meters. So what you want to be calculating is the high and low water, and you want to be calculating for the time that you're going to be transiting through there. So if you head through on slack water at 2:18, I believe was our time for Dod Narrows, you'd want to be having a slow sail through and timing what you'd be dealing with at likely about 3 o'clock from Dodds into De Courcy. You're going to be having at 4:07, 2.6 meters. So you can calculate back between the low water and the high water how much depth you'd have on top of chart datum at the time that you're navigating through. So you may be having actually 3 meters or so on top, as it is on a falling tide at 4 o'clock. So 0.8 meters, you'd want to be getting in as early as possible. So once you've gone through Dod Narrows, approximately 2:30 we were discussing, you would be getting into De Courcy, just down the channel about 3:30. And you do need a minimum of 1 to 1.5 meters of tidal water on top of chart datum. As we discussed, all of these measurements here are lowest low. So you want to be adding your tidal water on top of chart datum. So here on May 12th, you would be looking at 4 o'clock of a low water of 0.8 meters. Unfortunately, that is too low to be going to De Courcy. If this was your first day, I would suggest that you continue on down the Trincomalee Channel, past Danger Reef, all the way further down into Clam Bay. It's about another 10 miles. But it's a beautiful deep anchorage. Great, fantastic sunset in there. You can take the dinghy through the cut, go and visit Telegraph, and I would save going into De Courcy Island on your way back. For example, if your second to last night was May 17th, you could come in anytime throughout the day. You've got plenty of water. The lowest low you're going to see is 2.2 meters at any time throughout the day on top of chart datum. And that is what you need to come in through Pirates Cove. Here we are at Clam Bay. Continue motoring down through the Trincomalee Channel, and you're going to continue on until you are abeam this red marker marking Center Reef. You will turn in when that is abeam on your starboard side. You'll continue on, and as you see here, all the boats will be anchoring around the outside of the anchorage. There is a shallow rocket shoal right in the middle. It is not marked, but when you When you arrive into the bay, you will see that all the boats are anchored around the outside, avoiding the rock right in the middle. You will have a beautiful sunset view on the south side of Cooper, north side up here on Thetis. And once you have anchored, you can take your dinghy in through the cut. Here, if we head over to the chart, you'll see the cut can completely dry out. So it's important once again to refer to the Nanaimo tide station in your ports and passes to make sure that you have enough water. Once you've anchored, take your dinghy ashore through the cut. Awesome little coves and beaches to explore, and head over to the fuel dock over here on Thetis Island. Awesome fish and chips, great little pub and restaurant, but watch the tide, watch the time, and make sure you have enough water. If you have too many drinks and stopped watching the tide, you will be carrying your dinghy through the mud. As we head out of Clam Bay here, we can head past Center Reef, heading back down the Trincomalee Channel, and we can continue all the way down south. If you want a couple of shorter days or a couple of options on your way back, Secretary Islands, Wallis Island, Conover Cove, Princess Cove, quite a few different anchorages right within this strip. Conover Cove is a fantastic little anchorage that you may be looking at just a handful of boats. Princess Cove within Wallis, if it's a nice calm night, no strong wind forecast overnight, you can fit a lot of boats stern tide with good holding in here. We'll refer once again to the Dream Speaker book. Here we have Conover Cove, as you can see, because they're on either side of Wallis Island, parallel setup there, the provincial park, we can refer to here. So as you can see here in Conover Cove, it is quite a little shallow entrance that's displayed in this picture, and you're going to be fitting comfortably half a dozen medium-sized boats or so. The other side, Princess Bay, on the north side of Wallis Island, you want to be well aware of all these rocks here. On a high tide, they can be covered, but you still want to be navigating a good course as you come in, and you are going to be stern tying. It's a lovely little hike all the way around this island. So a couple of options if you are having shorter days here. We were talking about at Wallis Island, Secretary Islands, or some good anchorages to consider on your way back. If you are heading from Clam Bay south for a longer sailing day, you would head down the Trincomalee Channel, keeping the Secretary Island group and Wallis Island on your starboard side, and heading out through all the way along down past Galliano, passing Walker Rock, Victoria Shoals, and I might recommend just going all the way south and anchoring on the north side of heading down into Montague Harbour on Galliano Island. Head through this channel and pick up a mooring buoy, looking at about $14 Canadian for a provincial park fee. Lots of mooring buoys all within this anchorage. Or there is a marina, pub, really nice restaurant within the marina here. If the anchorage, the marina, the mooring buoys are all full, which is probably not very likely, there is plenty of space. You can head back up north and anchor with some gorgeous sunset views, a really nice big anchorage on the north side here of Montague. Either way, you can take the dinghy ashore to any of these awesome beaches, all the way around Grey Peninsula here. There is a dock here on the south side where there's a campsite, and there's also a dock here within the marina at Montague, where there is hourly bus service on the Hummingbird musical bus. It takes you on a mini tour of the island and up to the Hummingbird pub and restaurant. A fantastic experience if you want to get a tour of the island and have a great meal at the top of the island. So here we are, you've come back from a wonderful experience at the Hummingbird pub and restaurant, mini tour of the island on a magical bus. Come back to your mooring buoy, head back out through the south side of Galliano Island, and just a short hop over to Salt Spring Island. Here in Ganges, large anchorage, lots of places to have a good night's stay, and quite a few different pubs and restaurants, or a couple marina options if you choose. It's great to line this up, if you can, with your dates for a fantastic Saturday market experience. Otherwise, there is lots to explore on Salt Spring Island. You can sign up for tours to a winery, to a craft brewery, the cheese farm. Salt Spring is artisan mecca of the Gulf Islands.